You might be sabotaging your wealth and not even know it. Not through poor choices or a lack of ambition, but through something far more silent, neglecting what's been beneath you this whole time: your feet. In ancient physiognomy, the soles of your feet were seen as sacred maps, etched with signs of fortune, purpose, and divine favor. And yet, most of us never think to look. We buy expensive shoes, we walk miles every day, we pamper our faces, but ignore the very foundation we stand on. What if I told you there are specific marks, shapes, even tiny moles that only appear on people who are destined to live a life of abundance? That these are not coincidences, but the universe's quiet way of tagging the chosen, those meant to receive, to preserve, and to pass on prosperity. Some spend their entire lives chasing success, never knowing they were born carrying it. Others wash away their luck with a pumice stone or laser off a mole that was never meant to be removed. These signs are subtle, but their impact is enormous if you know how to recognize them. So take a moment. Forget your zodiac, forget your resume. Look at your feet. Do they carry one of these rare traits? Because in this video, you're going to discover 6 powerful foot signs that traditional wisdom claims are only found in people who were never meant to struggle endlessly. If even one of these appears on you or someone you love, consider it a quiet blessing from something greater. But remember, a fortune ignored is a fortune lost. Let's begin. And this time, pay close attention to what's been guiding you all along. Number 1, the hollow arch, the heaven bowl that holds blessings. If you've ever stood barefoot on the ground and noticed that the center of your foot doesn't quite touch the floor, that there's a hollow, a natural arch lifting just above the earth. You might be carrying one of the most powerful wealth signs known in ancient energy traditions. This isn't just about anatomy or foot health. In the language of destiny, that hollow is more than a gap. It is a bowl, and bowls by nature are made to receive. People with this foot trait often live without knowing they've been carrying what some call the heaven bowl, a shape believed to attract blessings, not because of effort or ambition, but because the vessel is ready. It's quiet, it's open, it's positioned to hold whatever the world wants to give, and that in itself is rare. In a world that praises hustle and constant doing, being someone who holds space, who receives, is often misunderstood. But if your foot carries this shape, you may have already noticed something. Things tend to come to you. Not always fast, not without struggle, but eventually, steadily, and with an odd sense of timing that feels orchestrated. You meet the right people, opportunities show up without explanation. And when you need something most, it arrives, often quietly, without fireworks. This isn't luck, it's alignment. People with deeply hollow arches are energetically wired to gather. Just like water finds its way to the lowest point, wealth flows toward containers that are stable, still, and ready. Your arch, if shaped like a clean bowl, doesn't touch the earth because it's meant to draw energy up from it. While others push forward, this foot absorbs, it listens, it waits, it allows, and in that allowance it receives. But here's the truth that many overlook. The hollow arch is only the beginning. It's a foundation, a seed, and like any bowl, it's only useful when it's clean, intact, and treated with respect. Which brings us to the deeper question: what are you doing with the energy you collect? Because while the heaven bowl may attract fortune, it does not guarantee it. Just as a cracked bowl cannot hold water, a person who misuses their blessings will watch them disappear. This trait is only truly effective when paired with inner steadiness, patience, humility, discernment. If you live in chaos, overspend, or constantly chase what's next, the bowl stays full for only a moment before it empties again. The energy slips through the cracks of impatience, and that's the heartbreaking part. Many people born with this powerful sign never realize what they have. They run themselves into the ground, thinking they need to hustle like everyone else, while all along, their path was meant to unfold differently. Gracefully, quietly, with fewer steps and more trust, you may recognize yourself in this. Maybe you've always felt out of place in the world of loud ambition. Maybe you've been told you're too passive, too soft, too slow. But in reality, you were built to move differently. Your life is less about chasing and more about allowing, less about noise and more about resonance. That doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you do the right things at the right time with the right people. And the bowl, your hollow arch, holds every drop of that goodness without waste. There's also another layer to this shape, one that touches your relationships, your family, your home. People with this trait often become the silent centers of stability in their circles. They know how to manage, how to save, how to make what they have last. In many households, it's the person with the hollow arch who quietly balances the budget, protects the peace, and builds a life that feels full even when it looks simple. Their gift isn't loud, but it lasts. And yet, as with all gifts, the responsibility is yours to honor it. The heaven bowl must be protected. That means caring for your feet, not just physically, but energetically. Stop wearing shoes that collapse your arch. Stop dismissing your stillness as laziness. Stop comparing your journey to others who are meant to run while you are meant to gather. What looks like slowness in you is actually your power. So if you've looked down at your feet and seen that hollow arch, if you felt the quiet way fortune seems to find you, or the ease that others envy but can't explain, know this: you're not ordinary. Your steps are not random. You carry a bowl in your body that was designed for blessings, and that's not something to take lightly. But the real test is not whether you have the bowl, it's how you live with it. Do you clutter it with fear? Do you fill it with resentment? Or do you leave it open, calm, and ready to receive? The most prosperous people in the world are not always the ones who fight hardest. Often, they are the ones who know how to hold space, how to stay grounded, and how to trust the timing of their own rhythm. The hollow arch is your reminder. You were never meant to run after wealth. You were meant to stand where you are, let the ground rise to meet you, and gather what is already on its way. Number 2, the spiral mark, a compass of inner knowing. Look closely at the soles of your feet. Beyond the familiar lines and folds, do you notice something different? A circular pattern, spiral-shaped, swirling gently like the center of a fingerprint. If so, you may be carrying one of the rarest and most powerful indicators of intuitive wealth, the spiral mark. This is not an ordinary skin feature. It is a symbol found in the footsteps of thinkers, quiet leaders, artists, and healers, people who don't force success, but rather seem to understand life from the inside out. In ancient energy traditions, this mark is known as a receiver, a physical symbol of someone born with heightened perception, the ability to read between the lines, to sense direction without needing a map. Like an internal compass tuned not to noise but to knowing. You've likely felt this if you carry the spiral. You walk into a room and feel what's unspoken. You meet someone and understand more than they're saying. You make decisions that others hesitate over, and they usually turn out to be right. This isn't luck, it's a gift. But most people with this sign doubt themselves because the world doesn't always value quiet intelligence. It praises speed and noise. You move differently, and that difference is your power. The spiral itself is not random. It mirrors the movement of galaxies, hurricanes, the flow of water, even the structure of DNA. Everything in nature follows a spiral. It's how energy moves, how growth unfolds. So when your feet carry this shape, it suggests your energy is aligned with something greater: cosmic intelligence, universal rhythm, divine design. You may not always understand why you know what you know. You just do. But here's the challenge. The same spiral that receives energy can also twist it. If your thoughts spiral into anxiety, envy, or fear, that same intuitive power can become distorted. You start reading danger where there is none, creating false patterns, acting out of imagined scarcity. This is the double-edged sword of the spiral mark. It amplifies whatever you carry inside. Wisdom or worry, vision or illusion. People with this mark often feel isolated growing up. They sense more than they can explain. They feel older than their age. They ask deeper questions. And because the world around them often operates on surface logic, they may withdraw, go quiet, or suppress their insights. But the truth is, their mind isn't strange, it's sacred. It's just waiting for the right environment to unfold. Many with this sign find success in fields where ideas matter more than appearances: art, strategy, healing, writing, design, leadership. They don't have to shout to be heard. When they speak, it lands. When they act, it ripples. Even as mothers, mentors, or managers, they lead from the center, not from control, but from clarity. They don't demand attention, they direct energy. And that's the deeper truth of the spiral mark. It's not about being right. It's about being aligned. When your intuition is paired with ethics, when your insight is guided by humility, you become the kind of person others instinctively trust. Not because you tell them what to do, but because you radiate a sense of knowing that calms chaos. But if you misuse this gift, if you manipulate, deceive, or chase power, you'll find yourself in constant mental unrest. The spiral turns against you. Your decisions backfire, relationships become unstable. Why? Because this gift demands integrity. It's not just for you, it's meant to serve. When used for truth, it opens doors. When used for ego, it shuts them quickly. If you have this mark, treat it with reverence, practice stillness. Feed your mind clean thoughts, don't rush decisions, let them rise. Trust the insight that comes in silence. Journal, meditate. Walk slowly. Surround yourself with people who value depth over drama. And above all, never doubt your ability to sense what others miss. That's the mark speaking. This is not a common gift. Most feet carry lines of effort, of labor, of struggle. But the spiral carries insight. It shows a person who's meant to rise not by force, but by frequency. If you walk this earth with a spiral underfoot, understand this. You were born to lead, but only when you first learn to follow the truth inside yourself. Number 3, the red mole, heaven's favor beneath your step. There are marks we inherit and there are marks we choose. But some marks choose us. If you have a mole, red, pink, or light brown on the sole of your foot, especially near the heel or arch, this may be one of those signs. Not a flaw, not a blemish, but a seal. An energetic stamp that ancient traditions regarded as the rarest kind of fortune, invisible support, heaven's favor beneath your step. It's often called the $1 million mole, but not because it rains cash or turns life into a lottery. Its meaning is more profound. This mark is said to signal a life path guided by unseen help, where doors open without knocking, where the right people appear at the right time, and where progress happens through grace rather than force. In other words, you are not alone on your path. Something walks ahead of you, clearing the way. And yet most people miss this. They cover it up, remove it, or ignore it entirely. In our obsession with flawlessness, we forget that not all marks are mistakes. Some are messages. Some are signatures of alignment with something greater than chance. That mole is not there by accident. It is, as some masters would say, a flag planted by the universe, one that says, this one will be carried even when they don't know why. People who carry this mark often have an easier time finding stability. Their careers tend to unfold without major disruption. They may take bold steps, moving cities, changing paths, starting late, but things somehow land. Relationships align. Financial struggles don't linger. There's a thread of protection running through their story, subtle but undeniable. They may not even realize how often they've been spared, redirected, or lifted until much later. But there's more to this mole than mere good luck. It comes with responsibility, because it's not a prize, it's an invitation. An invitation to live in harmony with the very forces supporting you, to live with virtue, gratitude, presence. If you misuse the gifts that come, take them for granted, or move with selfish intent, the blessing recoils. That path once cleared becomes fogged. That help once near withdraws. And here's something most never hear: the color of the mole matters. If it's red, pink, or light brown, it is typically a sign of pure luck, untainted by karmic debt. People with this version often carry a natural ease in financial matters. They manage money well, attract support effortlessly, and often thrive far from where they were born. These are the wanderers who bloom in unfamiliar lands, who bring light wherever they go, and whose energy stirs change in every space they enter. But if the mole is black or very dark, the meaning deepens. This mark, while still fortunate, comes with karmic weight. It suggests a past life contract, unfinished business that must now be honored. These individuals often hold great potential, but their path demands more awareness, more integrity, more self-examination. They may be called to serve others, to uplift their communities, or to fulfill roles of quiet leadership. If they refuse, resist, or live out of alignment, life pushes back. They may find themselves blocked, drained, or lost despite their blessings. And still, this is not a warning, it is a chance. A black mole is not a curse, it's a call. One that says, "You've been given much, now live like someone who deserves it." If you rise to that, the fortune flows. If not, it slips through your fingers. The most important thing you can do if you carry this mark is protect it. Not with fear, but with reverence. Do not remove it. Do not laser it off because someone told you it's unattractive. This mole is not skin deep, it's soul deep. Removing it is like tearing a page out of your own divine instruction manual. You may not notice the loss immediately, but the shift in energy is real and lasting. And for women especially, the position of the mole carries deeper meaning. A red mole on the left foot is often a sign of movement being essential to your growth. You are not meant to stay confined. Change, be it location, career, or lifestyle, is your gateway to expansion. You grow by motion, not comfort. You thrive when you let go of control and trust your internal compass, no matter how unconventional it seems. This foot sign is also closely tied to interpersonal karma. People with this mark often become magnets for others who are at turning points in life. You may be the friend who shows up at just the right moment, the parent whose intuition saves a child from a bad path, the partner who lifts another out of darkness. Your energy doesn't just guide your path, it quietly lights the way for others. But again, this isn't just a gift, it's a task. If you carry it, ask yourself, what am I doing with my influence? Am I using my presence to help or to harm? To inspire or to control? This mole reminds you, gently but persistently, that you are not here to take up space. You're here to shift it, to elevate it, to leave it better than you found it. If you have this mark, your journey may not always be easy, but it will always be significant. You are not random. You are chosen. And every step you take has meaning, because it carries not just you, but the echoes of those who came before and the pathways for those who come after. So look again, at your heel, at your arch, at the quiet place no one else notices. And if that mark is there, whisper something to it tonight. I see you. I honor you. and I will walk like someone who remembers why they were chosen. Number 4, the Wang Character, a hidden royal seal. There are lines we inherit from our parents, and there are lines that seem to come from nowhere, as if written before we ever took our first breath. If you look closely at the soles of your feet and notice lines forming a specific shape, 3 horizontal strokes crossed by 1 vertical line, you may be seeing the character Chinese letter, pronounced Wang, the Chinese symbol for king. This is not superstition. This is a signature. In ancient face and foot reading, this mark is known as the royal seal, not because it promises fame or crowns, but because it carries the energetic imprint of leadership, influence, and high responsibility. It suggests a life path meant not just for personal achievement, but for guiding others through chaos, holding space when others fall apart, and bringing clarity where there is confusion. You may have felt this from a young age, the quiet pressure of being the strong one, the one others rely on, the one who doesn't get to collapse. While others get lost in drama, you somehow hold the center. Even without seeking attention, people watch what you do. They mirror your mood. They take your silence seriously. It's as if life has positioned you as a stabilizer, not by choice, but by design. That's what the Wang Character represents. Not status, but stewardship. Not ego, but embodiment. It means you've been given a kind of invisible authority, one that doesn't come from position or paycheck, but from presence. People feel safer when you're around. They trust your judgment. They lean on your calm. And even when you don't have all the answers, your energy tells them they're not lost. But here's the truth that most miss. This gift is incredibly demanding. Because being the anchor means you must carry weight no one sees. People with this mark are often called to face trials that others are spared. Not because they've done something wrong, but because they're being prepared. Fire doesn't touch glass the same way it touches steel. And if you carry this mark, you were never meant to live soft. You are tested in ways others aren't. You are stretched, pressed, and sometimes broken, not to hurt you, but to refine you. To teach you patience, discernment, and compassion that can't be faked. Because one day, you will be the one others look to when their world is falling apart. And in that moment, your stillness will save them. That's why this mark is often misunderstood. Some people chase its energy through titles and control, trying to force their way into positions of power. But the true royal seal doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It influences by embodying. You don't need to convince people of your worth. They feel it in your presence. Real power doesn't raise its voice. It raises others. For women especially, this mark can carry an even deeper role. It often signals someone who is both the emotional matriarch at home and a pillar in her outer world. These are women who raise children with clarity, hold marriages through storms, run businesses without drama, and still manage to soften the space around them. Their strength is not hardness, it's depth. They are the ones others confide in, not because they offer solutions, but because they offer space. Wisdom without noise, direction without control, but this path comes with a warning. The Wang Character is powerful, but power, when misaligned, becomes karma. If you misuse your influence, if you lead from ego instead of service, if you manipulate rather than uplift, the energy of this seal turns against you. Relationships fray, respect turns to fear, authority collapses into isolation. That's not punishment, it's imbalance. To carry this mark is to accept a sacred contract, to remain grounded even when elevated, to listen more than you speak, to model truth even when it's inconvenient, and to understand that your greatest influence comes not from what you know, but from how you live. You are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be real. Transparent, Humble enough to admit your flaws, but sturdy enough not to fall apart because of them. People don't need you to be invincible. They need you to be centered. That's the true legacy of those who carry the royal seal. They leave behind not an empire, but a feeling. A memory of someone who held the line, told the truth, and stayed when others ran. So if you have this mark, those intersecting lines etched quietly into your feet, recognize it for what it is. A calling, not to rise above, but to rise within. Not to control the room, but to carry the room. You may not have chosen this path, but it has chosen you. And if you live it well, you will not only walk with purpose, you will walk in service of something greater. Number 5, the Rosey Heel anchoring abundance with each step. Not all wealth arrives early. Some blessings are designed to grow with time, to deepen, not dazzle. If you've ever looked at the back of your foot and noticed that your heel is smooth, softly rounded, and carries a natural pink glow, even subtly, then you may be standing on one of the strongest indicators of long-term abundance. A foot like this doesn't shout for attention, it anchors it. In traditional energy wisdom, the heel is considered the foundation of the body's internal reserves, the place where strength is stored, not expressed. It is quiet, firm, and mostly hidden. And yet, it determines how far you can walk, how long you can stand, and how deeply you are rooted in life. When a person carries a rosy, plump, well-cushioned heel, it's not just a sign of good circulation or healthy posture. It's a sign that your life, especially your later years, is built on solid ground. This trait is often seen in people who seem to age with grace. They may not chase attention. They may not accumulate fast success. But they are the ones whose stability becomes impossible to ignore. Their careers endure. Their relationships mature. Their homes feel steady even when life shakes around them. Like a tree with deep roots, their power is not in their speed, but in their unshakable presence. You might be this person. Maybe you've always felt slower to bloom. Maybe you watched others soar while you stayed back, working, building, waiting. But if your heels are healthy and soft with that subtle warmth of pink, there's something deeper at play. You were never meant to peak early. Your wealth, your influence, your peace, they are meant to rise gradually and last far longer. The Rosey Heel is also a reflection of how you carry your energy. It suggests that your nervous system is balanced, your blood flows cleanly, and your internal organs, especially your kidneys, which are believed to store life essence, are functioning in harmony. This is not just physical wellness, it's energetic alignment. People with this heel trait tend to recover faster from setbacks. They handle stress more gracefully. They know how to say no when needed and how to rest without guilt. But here's what most don't realize. The energy of the heel doesn't just reflect personal health. It radiates into your family. This is especially true for women who carry this trait. They often become the emotional anchor of their household. Their calm becomes contagious. Their steadiness becomes security. They may not speak loudly or often, but their presence is what keeps the home centered. You may be that person, the quiet pillar everyone turns to. The one who doesn't fall apart. The one who knows how to navigate hard times without panic. And because of that, others thrive in your orbit. Your children grow up confident. Your partner feels grounded. Even your friends know they can count on you. Not because you fix everything, but because you don't collapse when things break. But as with all signs, this one must be maintained. A heel that becomes dry, cracked, or dark in tone is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's a warning. It says something has been depleted, that your energy, once stable, is now leaking. This can happen quietly, over years of overgiving, under-resting, or carrying the emotional load for too many people without tending to your own needs. When the heel changes, it's not just your body. It's your balance calling out for attention. So if you've noticed this shift, take it seriously. Replenish, rest, rebuild your internal ground, because the Rosey Heel isn't about being perfect, it's about being preserved, being whole. It's about understanding that abundance isn't just what you have. It's what you hold, what you sustain, what lasts when everything else fades. And when that heel is cared for, when it stays soft, supported, warm, you will find that your path becomes easier. Not because obstacles disappear, but because you have the resilience to keep walking through them. People with this sign often experience a turning point in life after the age of 40. Not a dramatic shift, but a quiet rise. Things that felt hard start to align. Money becomes more stable. Relationships become simpler. The pressure to prove fades, and in its place comes presence. For men, this heel shape also suggests career consistency. They may not rise fast, but they rise right, with patience, with integrity, with a work ethic that builds rather than burns. These are the men who become respected not for what they show, but for what they sustain. For both men and women, this sign speaks to maturity, not just of age, but of spirit. So if you have this trait, or if you're starting to notice it, honor it. Care for your heel the way you would protect a foundation. Wear supportive shoes. Massage the area, keep it warm, treat your body like the house that carries your future. Because that's exactly what it is. And never forget, in a world obsessed with first impressions, it is your last impression, your legacy, that truly defines your wealth. You are not late, you are right on time, and your heel has known it all along. Number 6, the shiny nail where blood speaks of blessing. Most people pay attention to their fingernails. They clip, polish, buff, and check them for signs of health or stress. But almost no one looks at their toenails. Those quiet, unseen surfaces that press against the ground every day. And yet, in ancient energy reading, it's the toenails that tell a deeper story, especially when they shine. If you notice that your toenails are naturally smooth, slightly pink, and carry a subtle, even sheen, without discoloration, ridges, or dullness, this is more than a sign of good hygiene. It's a symbol. A physical indicator of internal order, of stable energy, of blood that moves cleanly, calmly, and with purpose. And where blood moves well, life flows well. Shiny toenails have long been seen as reflections of harmony between body and mind. When your inner systems are working in sync, when your liver filters smoothly, your kidneys restore, your heart stays steady, that quiet balance shows up here. On your toes, not because they're glamorous, but because they're honest. They don't lie. They mirror your current, not your image. And in the language of destiny, people with healthy, glowing toenails are often those who live wisely. They may not be flashy or loud. They may not chase trends or drama. But they are the ones who make consistent, grounded decisions. The ones who avoid extremes. The ones who live within their means and think long-term. It's not that they avoid risk, they just don't gamble with their peace. This trait often appears in those who carry inherited blessings. Not necessarily material wealth, but what some call light karma. A life where struggles exist but don't destroy. Where setbacks teach but don't break. Where the road is long but not chaotic. If you've been told you have good luck, or that things tend to work out for you, this may be part of the reason why. Your system is stable, and that stability shows through your nails. But like every sign, this one comes with responsibility. Because shiny toenails don't stay that way without effort. They reflect how you live, your food, your rest, your emotional patterns. Stress, anger, overthinking, or fatigue, these things can change the nail. It starts slowly. A dull patch, a tiny ridge, a fading of pink, and suddenly your body is signaling that something inside is off. Most people ignore this. They paint over it or blame their shoes. But if you see your nails start to lose their glow, pause, don't panic, just pay attention. This is your body's whisper, not a scream, not a crisis, just a subtle nudge to check back in, to adjust, to slow down, to make different choices. Because energy doesn't lie and neither do your toes. For women, especially in middle age, this sign becomes more sacred. As hormones shift, as life demands more, the body often takes a quieter seat. But the toenails remain clear mirrors. Women who maintain this glow into their 40s and beyond are often those who have learned how to preserve themselves, who know when to give, but also when to hold, who care for others but don't abandon their own center. Their shine is not cosmetic, it's earned. These women are the emotional anchors of their homes, not by force but by frequency. Their stability sets the rhythm. Their presence holds the field. They don't panic, they don't waste, and they teach by example, not by speech. Their toenails tell the story of women who walk wisely, not wildly, who move with grace even when things are hard. But this trait isn't gendered. Men with shiny toenails often show similar patterns: emotional control, thoughtful choices, steady ambition. They rise not through shortcuts, but through discipline. And because of that, their success tends to last. They aren't shaken by trends. They don't chase approval. They know what matters and they build around it. So what do you do if you have this sign? Protect it. Don't neglect your feet just because they're not always seen. Soak them. Nourish them. Let them breathe. Wear shoes that support rather than compress. And more importantly, take care of the systems that create this shine: your blood, your breath, your boundaries. And if your nails are not shiny, if they've dulled or darkened, it doesn't mean the blessing is gone. It means the body is asking for help. Listen to it. Realign. Because the beauty of this sign is that it can return. When your habits shift, when your energy steadies, the glow comes back. And when it does, it's a quiet celebration, a reminder that you're back in balance, back on path. We often talk about wealth as numbers. But the wealth that lasts, the kind that cannot be taken, is stored in how we carry ourselves, in how our bodies reflect our choices, in how our steps leave peace behind. If your toenails shine, your life probably does too. And if they don't yet, let that be your invitation, not to fix, but to feel, to adjust, and to return to center. Because true fortune doesn't show up all at once. Sometimes it starts at your feet. We spend so much of our lives searching for signs of success, of love, of safety, of belonging. We look outward into books, into others, into futures we can't yet touch. But sometimes the most powerful signs are already written into us, etched not into the stars, but into the skin we walk on every day. Your feet are not just tools for movement, they are messengers. They hold your weight, your history, your direction. And if you've listened closely throughout this journey, you may now see them differently, not just as anatomy, but as a reflection of everything you've carried, everything you've survived, and everything you're still becoming. The hollow arch is your ability to receive. The spiral line is your inner compass. The red mole is heaven's quiet favor. The Wang mark is a seal of responsibility. The Rosey Heel is your grounded strength. The shiny nail is the truth of your internal balance. Each sign is not a prediction. It's a mirror, and every mirror asks, are you living in alignment with what you were built for? Science tells us that the feet contain over 60,000 nerve endings, connected to every organ, every system, every part of who you are. That's not mysticism, that's medicine. The energy flowing through your feet affects your clarity, your circulation, your emotional state, and in many ways, your fortune. Because wealth isn't just what you have, it's what you can hold. And what you can hold depends on how grounded you are. So here's the quiet truth. Every step you take is a decision. not just of where you're going, but of who you are choosing to be. Are you chasing noise or walking with purpose? Are you ignoring your signs or honoring them? Are your feet tired from running or tired from never being listened to? There's no perfect foot, no guaranteed fate, but there is always a path. And if you've seen yourself in any part of this journey, if even one trait stirred something familiar, then it's not by accident. It's a reminder that your body holds wisdom your mind has forgotten. That your destiny doesn't start somewhere out there. It begins exactly where you stand. So tonight, before you sleep, look at your feet, not for flaws, but for signs, for messages, for the quiet, steady truth that you have always carried more than you knew. And maybe, just maybe, you were never walking alone.